today we're going to be diving into the world of extensions and how you can download and install an extension in SketchUp. So extensions are really powerful, right? Like if, for example, let's take these two curves. I'm going to look at this from the top view, right? These two curves aren't perfectly symmetrical. If I look at it from the front view, you also see that, one of them is shorter than the other. Imagine you have a contour line for your terrain and you want to make sure that the surfaces are created from those terrains. There are extensions out there that do that really well. SketchUp has one in the sandbox tools. It's got a feature inside of sandbox tools. So let's go into view, toolbars, and then under toolbars, as you scroll down, you'll notice sandbox right there. If you check that box, you will see the sandbox tool show up. Conversely, the way to get to sandbox tools is also to right click and then find sandbox on there and toggle it on. And this particular set of tools will show up. And what I'm interested in for the sandbox tools right now, because I want to create a surface between these two curves, is the from contours tool here. So what I'll do is I'll highlight these two curves and I'll click on from contours, and it automatically finds those edges that make up the curve, the endings, the line endings of those edges, and find the corresponding line endings below it and create a contour. Now it's great because it creates a contour. It also created a surface on the top here, and that's fine. I could always go in and simply delete that. I'm going to hide hidden geometry, select that surface. Actually, let's do it there, and let's use the eraser tool, and I can delete these edges from the top, so I just have that contour, right? And that's fine and dandy, but as the curves get more complex, more curvature, more directional changes, from contours might not meet the standards that you're looking for. And what I mean by that is, let's go and look at another scene over here where there's a set of these complex curves right here, right? So these curves make up this closed loop over here, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a closed loop, but we have that as an example over here. So I'm going to select that and again click on from contours. As you can see, it's not really doing a great job of what we wanted to do. So if I were to move this over, you get to see how it's having a hard time creating that skin for us. So in these instances, we'll want to be using extensions, and extensions are really powerful. So how do you find extensions to do the job that you're looking to do? The first thing you want to do is you want to visit Extension Warehouse. So this is the icon here for the Extension Warehouse. You can always go into extensions and then click on Extension Warehouse as well. I typically have that icon right here, so I just click on that and it fires open Extension Warehouse for me. So now in Extension Warehouse, you'll see all these different extensions show up, but how do you actually find the extension that you're looking for, right? There's an extension that bends objects. There's an extension that, shows you whether a geometry is a solid or not. There's an extension for architects that's called Architects Tools. There's 1001 Bits Tools. These are all extensions that do certain things or enhance your workflow a certain way. In this case, we want to find an extension that skins or creates a skin along these edges and patches those curves for us. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in a keyword. In this case, I'm going to type in skin, right? And just hit enter, right? You see some options show up, but I just hit enter and you'll see all these different ones show up. So the first one that I see looks like it's an extension that does what I'm intending to do. So as I click on it, right, you get more information about it. You see some images. Some extensions actually also have video walkthroughs of how to use those extensions on here, or demonstration of what to do. And this video is one of them right here. Two folks talking about how to use this extension. But what we want to do is we also want to look at the description. What this plugin allows you to do is it apply a skin over edges to create complex curved surfaces. And that's exactly what we want to do. So now that we're in the extension warehouse, we looked for skin. We came into this extension that's named Soap, Skin, and Bubble. We're going to click on that install button right there. It's going to prompt you to say that this extension will have the ability to access your file system, and that's fine because we need it to work inside of SketchUp. I accept that, and then I see that the extension has been successfully installed and now available for your use. And great, okay, so it's been installed, that's fine. But what do I do next, right? I'm going to close out of this here, right? And what I'll do is the next thing I want to do is typically the extensions will always show up under the extensions drop down right here, right? I already have a bunch of extensions installed, right? I don't see that on here. And if I were to go into tools, I see some of the extensions installed on here as well. But if I don't see that extension, every now and then I want to right click on here and look for that extension as well. And then the one that I was looking at was Soap Bubble, right? That was the one that I just installed. So I'm going to click on that here real quick. And this is what the extension looks like, fairly straightforward, or fairly simple to look at, if you will. But what it does is really powerful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight these edges again, and again, click on the generate soap skin icon there. You'll see a matrix of, rectangular objects that are going to be fitted onto that curve. But this doesn't seem like it's going to be enough for me. So under the division here, instead of it being a 10 by 10, I'm going to let it be 50 by 50. So I'm going to type in 50 and hit enter. And as I enter, you will notice that, it's been much granular. And then I hit enter again. So then I see it fitting onto those curves. Like it's going to automatically go in and try to fit itself along that curve, right? And it's going through the process. It's iterating and it's kind of coming to equilibrium here. Eventually, it's going to come to equilibrium, and then we'll know that it's fit perfectly. But you can always stop it at any point in time if you're happy with the way it looks right now. You don't need it to go through a lot of iterations. But right now it took 101 iterations, about 18 seconds to soften the skin. And as you can see, that complex curve that I had, it's been now skinned properly. And if I move this over on the red axis, I'll get to see, how complex a curve that was created, or how complex of a surface was created for us just by using that extension, right? And there are similar extensions like Soap Bubble out there. This is one of them. There's another one called Curviloft, right? So if I were to look at this one here, I want to create a contour for this. I could go through the same process and go through the soap skin bubble, maybe have 50, a 50 by 50 grid here, hit enter again, and then allow for soap skin bubble to kind of create that skin for us, right? It's creating that skin for us. It's going through the iterations. If I'm happy with, what I see right now, and I don't need it to go through all those iterations, I can just hit the space bar and it's done, right? And I can move this over to the left here. But there's also another extension called Curviloft that does something very similar. So depending on what you're trying to do, you might want to either look at Soap Skin Bubble or Curviloft. So what I'll do is I'll again right click on here, and let's find Curviloft right here. So I'm going to toggle open Curviloft right here, and again select these surfaces, and click on one of these options right here over here. This is the one where it's going to skin the contours. Earlier I clicked on lofting, but in this case I want to skin these contours. And I see that it's automatically created that for me. There's some options here to, interpolate higher or simplify it further. Lots of options here available for you. And we can talk about these extensions in greater detail individually. But I'm going to hit my left mouse button and accept that. And once that's accepted, it's been created as a group here for me, so I can move it over. And you can see that, both of these extensions create these skins for us. It's really depending on, what you're trying to achieve, and what the purpose is. Okay, so just to recap, in order to find these extensions, you'll go to the extension warehouse, right? And then search for what you're trying to do. Let's say you wanted to, you know, um, bend objects, right? I'm going to type in bend, and as I hit enter, you will see true bend. There's a wire bending, there's a pipeline bending extension, there's all these other extensions. There's a shape bender extension that bends shapes. So, you could go into each of these options here, find more information on what these extensions do, right? In this case, this extension bends objects. So as you can see in this video that the extension developers provided, it actually shows you what the extension does before you actually go through the process of installing it as well, right? And TomTom's a great extension developer. He's got a lot of fantastic extensions available, and in particular, vertex tools and um, Sub D are one of the more famous ones from him, but he's got a really great library of extensions that he's developed, right? Okay, so that's all that I wanted to show you today. Extensions are really powerful. If you haven't tried extensions before, please do. It really enhances your workflow, speeds up the process, and makes your life a lot easier. All right, that's all. Thank you.